What is the matrix? Most of us stand in the midst of confusion about the world that we live in. We look for answers from our friends, family, pastors, or community leaders. We usually are content with their response and look no further. However, some of us are more inquisitive than others and look for better answers. With all the different perception and deception out there, how can one identify the truth? Have you ever realized how education affects your everyday belief? And why does your cultural background affect your choices like that? And religion, why is it so important but so misleading? With all these questions said, what if they were all used to create a false reality? While against it, I realized that I did not stand alone. I found people willing to make a stand with me. You see, while we are born and will die alone, we were all created for each other. And it is with each other that we will be able to rise again, by knowing our true history and the reason for these misconceptions. Let's take this journey together with the Awakened Foundation and bring clarity to this matrix. We are going to record all this. I see some other people here on the panel, and I just do not want to say the wrong name. We also have Marco Gruel. Would you like to introduce yourself, Marco?
Yes, my name is Marco Gruel, and I work for DT Gruel Company and as well as OCT. And our main focus is humanitarian relief and also the logistics involved therein. So that's kind of what we bring to what Jeff is trying to do.
Glad to see you and hear you, Marco. We also have Nunat Zama.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Nunat Zama, and I am an attorney here in Boston, here to support my friend Jeff Paul. Good to meet everybody.
Hello, Nunat. There is also Rose. Rose, do you want to introduce yourself? Okay. Manuel. Kevin? I see a Kevin.
Yes, hello, everyone. I'm just Kevin. You know, I'm always going to support family. I'm always going to support Jeff. So it was good to see everyone. I'm in the middle of driving right now, so excuse, that's why my video ain't on.
Nice to hear from you, Kev. We also have Janiton.
Good evening, people. Jeff, good evening. Thank you for the invite. My name is Jeol. Last name Janiton. I go by Jay. I am a big believer in networking, and especially when Haitians or Haitian Americans, minorities are willing to get together on positive issues. So Jeff invited me, and I know that we've worked on other projects before. So I'm just really grateful to be a part of anything that is positive, especially for our community. So thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Now, I know that there might be other people that I did not called in. If you'd like to say hello right now, you can give me your name and a small presentation of yourself.
My name is Wilson, and I'm here to support you.
Thank you so much, Will. How are you doing?
Good, very good.
You're looking great, my man.
I try.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. All right.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
Hey, my name is Manuel. I'm Jeff's son. I'm here to support my dad. And I'm part of the foundation as well.
Hi, Manuel. Thank you again for showing up. Anybody else? All right. So this foundation is special to me. I've been at it for 7 years so far. I had the calling maybe back in 2003. So it's been a while. And I've experienced a lot of things in Haiti. And I've experienced the Haitian people at the core. But I never thought that, the journey is not finished, but I never thought that this experience actually would have bring me here today to learn what I've learned and to share with you all what I've learned. And I know that on this panel, we have a different, multiple type of belief as far as, religion and even life in itself. And so I am going to be, I'm just going to be blunt. I'm going to say what I need to say. And if you'd like to respond in like, please do not hesitate. Because there's one thing that I realize as far as us Haitian, in order for us to get together, we cannot lie to ourselves anymore. And we cannot hold back anymore. We have to be frank with one another. And we have to be able to see where we're all going in order to make a difference. So I'd like to start with a small presentation. And from that presentation, we could actually have a small session to talk about it. And the reason why the presentation was put together. And after, we're going to be also talking about what are the next step and stage, if that's something that interests you. So I'm going to share a screen with you. Okay. So, can you guys see the whole thing, or is that small? Okay, so
it's a little small.
It's very small?
Yeah.
Okay. I am sorry. What about now? A little bit bigger?
Yeah, a little bigger. No, the last one. What is the first one?
Is it better like that?
No, the very first one you did.
Oh, the very first one was big?
Yeah. You zoom.
Do it again.
Let's go small again.
Right here?
Do the other way. No, do it the other way.
Small again.
What about now?
Like this. I think that's the best you can do.
That's the best I can do?
Yeah.
All right. So, like I said, the first hour is going to be in English, and then the second part is going to be in Haitian. And then after that, we're going to move on to the next thing, I guess. So Welcome to the Awaken Foundation. How many of us understand that we have 20 and plus million of diaspora worldwide? And according to census, there are not too many of us out there, but I can guarantee you we are over 20 million people throughout the whole entire planet. We are going to bring four solutions, one goal. And if everything goes well, the chance of success will be extraordinary. So this is the emblem for the foundation. And what we are here to do is really simple. The Awaken Foundation is to bring the people that thinks alike and that wants to make a difference by taking actions to uplift the nation of Haiti. And the nation of Haiti starts with yourself. This is what we are all here to do, or that's what I'm here to do. Now, if you look at the top, this is Haiti the way it looks. And at the bottom, this is the way I would wish Haiti to look. Creating lakes and everything else that we need to have, new type of agriculture, beautiful buildings, everything that we deserve, every single thing that we deserve. Now, do we all have the same vision?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, we already know that the land is dangerous. And we also know that the land needs to be built. There's not one great city in Haiti right now that we are all proud of. And I've been to a lot of them. And I can tell you that I would really want to make a difference. But I've also seen that we in our own selves have tried to go back to Haiti and do what we need to do, but it's so small, so minute that it doesn't feel like we are doing something. But we are in our own way. But this time, what I'd like to do is to concentrate our effort so that when we all come together, whatever we do, not only create a big stain, but it also creates a blueprint for the next generation and all the other cities that needs to be rebuilt. What I'm going to talk about are things that we all need to know, but I can guarantee you we already know it. So I'm not going to say anything that you don't know. I'm not going to say anything that you have no clue about. First, we understand that we need to think differently, am I right? But how can we think differently when everything that we want, we already know? We want to secure our family. We want to have great industry in Haiti. We want to understand truly what's taking place in Haiti because we don't understand it. But at the same time, we also understand that without food in our belly, we cannot do anything. So, yes. So we do have to implement a socio-economical awareness. And yes, we have to be able to sustain ourselves. Yes, we have to fight and we have to understand all these four elements in order to move forward. But this is the best pitch that can ever exist. Together, we have resources, we have the manpower, we have the intellectual properties, we have the ability, and we have the strategy to make a positive change in our lives in Haiti. That's a beautiful pitch, isn't it? However, and there is a but, if you cannot fight for your family or for yourself, how do you expect to make a difference? How? How can you fight if you don't even think you are in danger? You know, if you are here, that means that you are willing to fight. And I know you cannot stand right now, but this is a call for an army. It is a call for a group of people that are willing to stand up and understand that they are in a war zone and that they have to fight for their family. Not just yourself, but for family. In there, we have a few companies that actually came in to join us. These companies, we have the Awakened Phantom Security. It's a group of gentlemen that has the intellectual property to lead an army, but also they have the heart and understanding, after being with me for several years, what is at stake and what they can do to actually make our country safe again. We also have Humanity to the Rescue. The Humanity to the Rescue is a group of guys who actually has been going into Haiti, Mexico, and also building homes in all these places. But their role is really simple. Being underground, talking to the people, the farmers, those that are going to be affected immediately, and giving them the resources, the moral resources, the understanding, and also the ability to actually prepare for themselves and for others. Now, we also have 3DM Panel Works. So this gentleman has developed a $3 billion construction in Africa. And all he wants to do right now is to go to Haiti, where he grew up, and do the same thing. But he's scared. He does not want to bring his money nor his ability onto the table and get everything taken away from him or his life. He's an old man, but he's willing and he's able. We also have IGI Recycling Company. IGI is what? It's a company that has been working here in the United States, in Florida per se, or every places that you would find a hurricane leaving bad item left and right and people desolated. They would go onto the scene, clean up, just to show that they are willing and able as young kids to actually make a difference. They've been into Haiti and they want to go back to Haiti and actually clean and recycle every single item that can be recycled to create biodiesel fuel, to create panels so that we can do those for houses, to create energy. All these things can be produced with recycling. These are the group of guys that actually have been fighting with me for the past several years. Now, the most important thing that I want to talk to you guys about is this really a war that we are in? Because while we are in America, all we see is economy, commerce, money. Without money, you cannot do anything. So the most, give me 1 second. So the person that raised their hand, we will be able to let you ask a question later on. after the presentation is done. So, you know, in history, there is no coincidence. We already know that. I don't think there's anything that is a myth. And I think all stories is based on the person that tells it. Now, have you ever heard of a place called Amaru Khan? How many of you have ever heard of that term, Amaru Khan? So Amaru Khan is supposed to be the richest and most prolific in agricultural country in the entire world. It has the most mineral, and its people are descendant of a man called Eber. How many of you have ever heard of that term? Well,
I have never heard it.
You never heard of it. Okay, great. Now, back in the 1500s, we have a man by the name of Diego Duran. This man was actually sent by the Queen Elizabeth and the King Ferdinand to actually acquire intelligence on the people of Haiti and the people of Mexico. He did so much of a great job that they call his book the Mexican Codex. You have to read it. It's a very, very important book to read, because what it says in that book, we do not know. A lot of us don't know, but it actually liberates us. It liberates our mind. It liberates who we are as a core group of people. What it tells us is that there is a man in that book called Meshi. Meshi was a man who actually held a sacred, give me a second.
How do you spell Meshi?
Meshi. M-E-S-I.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Meshi is what gives you the Mexicans or Mexicans in today's time. So Meshi brought his people out of captivity and went over what we call the Red Sea. Now, this man, Diego, he gets his sources from the old man from the villages that tells them the stories, the shamans. And at first, I didn't understand what the whole thing was all about. But here you can see that back in the 1500s, they called the Gulf of California the Red Sea. When I first saw that, I thought there was a mistake because I couldn't understand. But most of the maps that I saw did not say Red Sea. It says Vermicio Mar. And Vermicio Mar in Spanish means Red Sea, but I couldn't understand that until I saw it in English. He landed in a place called Utah. In Utah, he went in the top of Mount Moab, and there he saw the promised land. Wait a minute, that sounds a lot like a story from the Bible. It sounds like Moses, isn't it? Well, what I didn't know is that there were never Judah in the Bible. The J never existed. But Utah always existed. Judah. And when they talk about the land of Canaan, that sounds a lot like Canada. And I felt like, wait a minute, that sounds like a Twilight Zone. Because I was raised a Christian, and that's not where the story comes from. The story is in Palestine. But I didn't know there was also Mount Moab in Utah, the same Mount Moab in Israel. Well, everything that I'm telling you is not taught in school, by the way, but they all can be researched. Now, the center image is an image that actually talks about the crusade. Why was the crusade put together? The crusade was put together first and foremost to take Jerusalem away from the Saracens and the unbelievers. Now look at the date of the Crusades. The Crusade started in 1095, and 571 years later, after they actually won the war over the Haitians, the Crusaders were done. But now, wait a minute. They'd never been to Haiti before, 1490s, isn't it? When was that? Who remember the date that they actually landed in Haiti? Anybody?
14.
Well, it was in the
1482.
I think so, but I think it was in the 1480s. But wait a minute, 1480s? Were we a victim of the Crusaders? Well, here is what was in this land, the land called the Amarukan. So first, we have to understand that these are called the Olmec heads. Those are huge, about 8 feet tall skulls. And they are only found in the Mexican and the Caribbean islands. In there, you have a Mongoloid face. It looks like a Mongolian. Can you please? All right, so we have a Mongoloid face, but next to him, Rose, can you please mute yourself, please? All right, sorry. And on the side of him, there is a...
Sorry, Jeff.
Yes.
You can mute her as a host. You as the host, you can mute the person.
All right, I think I've done it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And if you need to unmute yourself, you can also at that time. So in there, what do we see? Next to him, you see a face. This guy is a Negroid face. Those two people were generals. One was the Aztec general. The other one was a Mayan general. Now, why is it important to understand that? Well, it's very important because when I first learned about who I was, I had issues. I had issues because I always thought that Haitians were the least important people in the world. I grew up in France, and the French have no problem telling you, go back home, you filthy nigger. I've never done anything wrong to anyone. All I've wanted to do is to live happily. Never had anybody in my heart. But I never thought that, I was wrong even in my own religion that I was in. It felt so right. And the term righteous was very important to me. So when I went into that journey of learning about the Haitians, who we were, I was petrified at first. And then I said to myself, is this true, Papa? Is this true, God? Because I couldn't understand it. In Europe, there was a man that they call it the myth. His name was Prester John. Prester John, if you Google him, or even if you go into Wikipedia, you're going to find out that in Europe, they call him a myth. He's a man who never had died or is still alive even until today. He was the greatest Christian ever existed, according to the Europeans. Prester means priest and John means king, priest king. That's the translation. This man was also known to be related to the three kings that actually came to actually give Jesus what I call gifts. At one point in time, it didn't make sense because that has nothing to do with Jesus. But anyway, I kept on reading. The Mongolian calls him Khan David, or king. So the term Khan, whenever you say Amaru Khan, the term Amaru means dark land, the same thing as Kemet. And there's a reason why Kemet, I'm using the term Kemet, because Kemet is also Egypt. So Amaru Khan is what? The land of the kings, the dark land of the kings. Now, here is what killed me. The Incas and Mayans calls the same man Quetzalcoatl. I've never heard that name before. But I've heard of David. But David and that kingship happened 2,000 years ago. So it couldn't be the same David. So I kept doing my research. And this David, if you read what it says, it's actually in French. It says, Le Grand Négoce, Prester John. Le Grand Nègre, Prester John. Le Grand Nègre, Prester John. En français. Tout le monde ça OK en français. His son was King Solomon, son of Prester John. I said to myself, it's impossible. It's not the same. It cannot be the same. Then what I read is that he, the son of Preston John, which is Solomon, had a child with the queen of Ethiopia. Her name was Queen Khalifa. And then I said to myself, wait a minute, that sounds way too much like the Bible again. But in the Bible, they had Queen Sheba of Ethiopia. And then when I dig down deeper, the term Sheba means queen. And I said, it's impossible. She was the queen of Ethiopia. Then I looked into old map, 1470-something map, when America was not even discovered. The whole entire south of the Sahara Desert used to be called Ethiopian land. The whole entire ocean that we call Atlantic Ocean used to be called Ethiopic Ocean. Then I found a map in China that actually showed that the Americas was actually connected with Asia, and that whole entire land was also called Ethiopia. I said, that's impossible. Then in time, I found other maps that shows that the same landmass was also called India. And I said to myself, okay, maybe they gave that name because they thought they were in India, like the Southwest Asian land called India today. But when I dug a little bit deeper, I realized that that land called India was never called India in the 1400, 1500, 1600, 1700, 1800, 1900. It was still called Bharat. The people of Bharat were the Hindustans or the Hindu because of the river Hindustan River. So what did they mean by India? And then when I started to read about Prester John, he was the ruler of the entire land of Ethiopia, where he resided in the land of India. And my mind exploded. Because according to history, this man, Solomon, the reason why he asked God for wisdom is because his father, the Khan of all Khan, King David, sold his people to other gods, his wife's god. One of them was Ishtael. So he asked to actually have a lot of wisdom so he can bring his people to redemption. That's why he became the wisest man. But after him, they told you that the land of Israel was destroyed. It was destroyed. But looking deeper, when you go into the Mongolian history, it tells you that this king called Khan David was the brother of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan wanted to take one of his wife away from him, which caused the first war. That time coincided exactly when the Incas took the land of the Mayans. Now, why is it important to understand that? Well, you have to understand where the Mongoloids come from. Now, here is the key. According to that book called the Bible, these people, King Solomon and Queen Sheba, was supposed to hold something called the covenant. This was the identification that there was a contract between God and these people. Now, if you remember the Bible, one of the best things that took place is that King Solomon and Queen Sheba had a child. His name was Solomon II, which he was born outside of the land of Jerusalem. He was supposed to actually build with his mother the temple that's going to house this covenant. Now, here is the key to understand something. When I looked into the names, Prester John, Solomon the first, then Solomon the second, then there was one more person there. Now, what do you think the fourth generation name was? Her name was Anna Akan. And I said, Anna Akan. She was called the ruler of Amazonia, the Amazonian ruler. And then I reminded myself of Queen Anna Kahona. And I said, are we talking about Haiti? And then I started to read the Papa Bull Dom Diversa, made June 18, 1452, which the Pope gives the European the right to go into the land to remove the Saracen and the Andrews out of that land. Now, the Saracen, you can see the face of it. It's right here. The Andrews is this thing right here, which is the cross. With that, everything was created to subdue these people out of that land. First thing that was created was the doctrine of discovery, which gave you religion. The second part was the maritime law, which is the basis of commerce. In America, they call it the UCC laws, the Uniform Commercial Code. Now, the reason why a lot of us are victims in this system is because the two main items they create to subdue the Saracen and the Andrews, we don't know anything about them. We're lucky that some of the lawyers actually understand partial, and they cannot, and some of them have been able to not become victim of this society. That is important. But in our case, everyone else, every time we try to do something for our country, every time we try to do something for ourselves, we are always victimized. Or we don't have the right credit, we don't have the right money, or we don't have the right statue. Oh, what else? Wait a minute. So you're telling me I cannot do something like that for my country because of the maritime law? Who manages this? Who? And you realize that every single one of our leaders make the exact same mistake. They come with the right and best intention in the world, but fall down deep into depression and then oppression. You know, Haiti has everything that it needs to have. All the raw material that creates cars, buildings. We have the intellectual properties right here. We need equipment, so we need friends, partners. We have all these people in school already. But today we already realize that we don't even have a strong economy. We don't. And if we had a strong economy today, all these people that came to Texas would not be sent back. The foundation had put together the Diaspora Heritage Credit Union to solve that problem. It's to being able to enable ourselves to get the equipment that we need, because that's all you need, the equipments. Then going into Haiti is a joint venture between the paysans and ourselves. It can happen, and it will happen. But what I just told you today is to say one thing and one thing only. This journey made me realize that I was not the sale negro that they talk about all the time. But my lineage is as strong as every nation studying who these wise men were. They have told me, but we are not these people. These Indians have been deceased and removed. Well, guess what? The whole entire setup of the Awakened Foundation is to start teaching you how to take a look at different documentation and realize what it says. Because when you realize what it says, you're going to see very carefully encrypted that the Negro are the Indians. But we are from Africa. well, no, Africa was owned by Prester John. But here is the key. Most of the trade that happened in America happened between the America's land, not between Africa and America. And how can I say that? It takes 5 to 6.5 months, depending on the wind and depending on the current, for you to reach the Caribbean from Africa. It took Christopher Columbus with the Pinta, Elena, and Santa Maria 4.5 months. So it looks like Europe is closer than Africa to get to the Americas. In 3 boats, they had 76 people. The boat was constructed where the top, you had the captain and the subordinate, and in the center part, you had a few people that actually help the direction of the boat. But the most part in the centerpiece of the boat was only food and water. Bottom, because there were only, was rocks, heavy duty rocks. Now, why is it important to understand that? Because the heavy duty rocks keep the boat afloat. Very important. But after that is what? The center part is all food. Took them 4.5 months. And when they got to the shore of Haiti, they were hungry because they haven't eaten for days. But now you're going to tell me that you had 350 people in the center of that boat. Where are you going to put the food? Where are you going to put the water? How long can you live without food? Wait. How long can you live without water? That story doesn't make sense, doesn't it? So when you start thinking about the reason why Haiti and Cuba being the hub of the Caribbean, they were hub of the Caribbeans because this was the place where they had to separate family. They would take the husband, they would remove the children, and they would send the wife and everybody else in 3 different locations. Because if you do not have a family, you cannot fight for anyone. The reason why you wake up in the morning is for family. The reason why you ache every time is for family. The reason why you have hope for the future is for family. The reason why I fight today to tell you all this, and that the term government and anything else that comes along with these terms, they all can be, they all can be molded to all of our needs. And I'll tell you what, these people in Haiti, if they are what I think they are and what I've read so far, this is where my love now comes in. How can you not love what God loves? I have never seen any Haitian that had a bad intention. They all of them, try to bring something to family. But if you create the worst environment, how can you not do what you do to survive? Well, Haiti is rich. It's rich in people. It's rich in history. And I can prove everything that I just told you. The little thing that I gave you is for you to do your own research, because now you have the cipher that whenever you read things now, you're going to understand them in a different way. We put together a few flyers, but none of those flyers are important. Yes, we need the agriculture, we need the security, we need the infrastructure, the credit union, we need all that. What we need right now is, let's get together. I need the help. I need generals that understand who they are today. I will be able, not I. Let me rephrase this for a second. Because for the past 3.5 years now, it has not been I for a long time. It's been we. Because I found other people who has more keys than I did. Whatever I had was their key, and whatever they had was my key. So we actually have the ability to get a lot of things done. And we also have a plan for it. Now, all I need you all to do is to start working together. They've always said that Haitians cannot work together. But with the story that you know today, with the information that you know today, how can you not work with each other when you know that God doesn't make any mistakes? And according to that book called the Bible, it says 7 generations after we fall, that's when we get back up. But wait a minute, according to the Gregorian calendar, all that happened 2,000 years ago. But guess what? According to the Mayan calendar, the Gregorian calendar is 1,000 years shy. I have hope for our people, my friend. And I know that we all can make a difference. So the whole entire plan right now is for all of us to join into the foundation. The foundation has created a platform. That platform does 2 things. It creates, number 1, folders. Each folders have different criteria. Some of them would be security. Some of them would be agriculture. Some of them would be, infrastructural creation or businesses. And each and every single one of them, the people that have these interests actually will be able to talk in private, not like, WhatsApp or anything like that where they know what you're saying, about what needs to take place. The key is to understand is the people are government. But when the people have nothing to say, then there's nothing that can be done. So the foundation's job was to create that structure in order to do one thing and one thing only: coordinate effort. Because when it's coordinated, then guess what? Nothing can stop us. And when we know exactly who we are, then here is the best kicker. Every single week, I will give you more in order for you to truly enable yourself legally, technically, and spiritually. It's not going to be easy, but I can guarantee you it's worth it. If you understand that this country called America is the land of milk and honey, and it is, but right now you've been getting what? The end of the stick? There's a reason for that. We can change all that. Anybody has any questions? Go ahead, Manuel.
Okay, let me pull up because I had to take a picture of the screen that you first presented in the beginning. Let me look at it. Excuse me. Okay, so I was looking at the first picture that you had on the screen, and you were talking about the European calls him Prester John, but the Mongolians called him Han David. Now, yeah, so why does the Mongolians, what does the Mongolians have to do with this discussion?
Well,
I understood, or maybe maybe what would have helped is if you were able to
break it down,
the maps of to show us the maps of some of the things you were talking about, as far as like the different maps that existed in different timelines. But I wasn't able to see that because I'm a visual person. And I usually I learn better by visual. But just to go back, what does the Mongolians have to do with Khan David or King David, as you explained it? There's no connection between the two cultures at all.
All right. So
unless I'm mistaken, Mongolians are. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead.
Okay. So I think I'm going to answer only one question. And then after that, I have to start it in Creole to do the exact same thing in Haitian Creoles. But whenever you talk about the Khans in the Old Testament, it's the kings. So whenever you reach the 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, and Samuel is actually supposed to bring you the king of all king, they're talking about the Khans. So the Khans are very important because according to the Mongolians, King David was King Genghis Khan's brother. Now, how weird is that? Listen, it's as weird as it can be. But what I've also understood is when I start reading about King David, because according to the Old Testament, King David was supposed to be the Messiah. But we end up getting a Jesus in the New Testament, which is supposed to be literally changing the entire Old Testament, even though they tell you nah. Because in the New Testament, King Jesus was supposed to accomplish what the Old Testament was all about. But what it tells you within it is that no one can get to the Father except through him, because he's the redemption. That's not what it says in the Old Testament. Now, wait a minute. Why is it important? Well, according to the New Testament, Jesus was being seen by whom? The three kings, les trois rois mages in Creole. The trois rois mages are Mongolians, and they were his uncles. Now, wait a minute. How is that even feasible? Where do you get these stories? Well, they're all researchable. This is why every week when we get a chance to meet, I will give you guys a listing of the entire setting of the study guide that I put together. So I did wrote a book, and let me tell you guys something. I hate writing, but I had to get it done. So within that book, I actually give you a lot more detail about what's taking place and why it's taking place. And that's what's going to make the difference. Hopefully I answered your question.
But from what I'm getting is you're making a lot of big, huge statements.
Absolutely.
Which is like it's like it's
life-changing.
Those are heavy core belief statements that you completely dismantle. You're dismantling these things, and in order to dismantle these things like that, you have to. I believe that the approach has to be more scholastic in a way, because
it is.
You have to come up with sources of where you getting these things from, and why you believe that your sources are more accurate than what's there.
No problem.
It's because, you know what I mean? Because this is what sometimes people make statements, and I'm not saying that you don't know what you're talking about, but sometimes people will make statements, and people who already are established in their core belief and they know who they are and what they believe in, they will challenge, and they will challenge.
I welcome the challenge, because I challenge myself first. Remember, I was born and raised a Christian, and I never understood why I became a Christian, knowing that the Christianity is what actually literally put my people into slavery. So there must have been a different story. But how can every religion out there be right unless they are all right? How come we all families? Are we all families? Are we all descendant of Noah and his children? So if we're all families, why is there all these animosities and divisions? You know, I'm willing to take that heads on, and hopefully every week we can actually join the reading and also the understanding. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna finish this session. 8 minutes past, and the whole idea behind what you just heard today is, don't think you are a small nation. You are the greatest nation that exists in this world. But it takes an extraordinary amount of energy and resources to keep you dumb, not knowing who you are and your true capacity. And this is the end of it, because it's predicted, and I am just a recipient. And all I can say is, man, I'm in for the ride. That's all. All right. We have also Maître Opon. Maître Opon, would you like to say a hello to the entire panel? You are on mute. Unmute yourself.
I have a question, if I may.
Yes. Yeah, you have a question? Who's asking?
It's Riffin.
Oh, hi, Riffin.
You can go ahead and introduce the person that came in first, and then I can just
Okay. Parce que m'dare commencer créole là, but let's introduce Maître Opon, and then we'll end the English session, and then everybody else that spoke English, please do me a favor, get onto the website and become a member. The membership is very simple. Within the membership, it's $100. The $100, $50 goes into opening your own account into our credit union, okay? We already have 4 people in that panel who became members already. So you're not gonna be alone. That's number one. And number two, the other $50 is gonna be done to actually create documents for you so that you have a legal status, and also being able to generate what we call credit here in America in order to do what you need to do in Haiti. If you don't have the right status where you live, how are you going to have the right status back home?
Somewhere else.
All right. Maître Opon?
Yes, can you hear me now?
We can.
Very well. Good evening, everybody. My name is Professor Oponte, and it's truly a pleasure and to be here with you today. And I'm glad at last the truth is coming out. I understand what the gentleman was saying. So we need evidence to prove a lot of the things that you say, because it's huge claim, and that defeat almost everything that we've learned. I understand that. And Professor John Henry Clark, also, if you go in African world story, he also come up with the same claim. And there are so many other professors. If I mean, maybe before the end of the show, I might give you some reference. But and John Henry Clark, he is a history professor at City College, also at Hunter College, and he challenged the whole world, and he brought most of the things that Jeff was talking about, because he also he give us a good understanding of Christopher Columbus, like what he was doing in Ghana and Benin, and that's there he realized that the African have a place that they go. It take them 6 months, and there they find gold, and also there were other African on that other side of the sea, and that's how Christopher Columbus go to Europe and keep telling his wife was a maid in the the Spanish kingdom, and was claiming that if they give him boat, he could go to a place where he can bring gold. Nobody believed him, but they gave him when they gave him the boat, he was able to go over there, and then when he came back with gold, and you know the rest of the story. So therefore, in that same book I'm telling you, African World Story, you could, Professor Clark explained to how the European saw our ancestors, because our ancestors were very disciplined. They were very spiritual, and they had a culture that is based on value and virtues. And the European, when they went there, the people were doing so well, and they called them God, because they were so clean. The woods where they live, and so on and so forth. And there are a lot of the things that we need to discover ourselves, because it's about time that we write our own history. It's about time that we claim our identity. And for some reason or not, most of us forgot where we come from and what our culture is based on. And I can tell you, and that's something that you experience yourself. It's like the European culture is based on violence, and money and power at the base of their culture. It is okay for them to enslave you. It is okay for them to steal what you have. It is okay for them to trick you. It is okay for them to kill you. And take what you have. This is their culture, which is quite different from our culture, which is quite different, because in our culture, it is value, it is virtue, and that's what it is based on. And spirituality is at the center, the base of everything that we do. But a lot of us do not understand that, and they think they can have a relationship with Europeans and win. No, they will kill you at the end, and they will steal what you have. It's like people are calling themselves Christians. I say, okay, but I challenge anyone who can prove to me that Europeans are Christians. They cannot be Christians. They do not have the mentality to be Christians. To be Christians, you have to stop stealing and then return everything you stole before you can call yourself a Christian. But they have not done so yet. And they call themselves Democrat as well. And I challenge everyone, they do not have that mentality to be a Democrat. They do not have the mentality to practice democracy, where everyone can have their voice. And that's something that was, with the African people. So it's about time that we do the research, like you said. I agree very, very well with the gentleman. So in those type of discussions, we need to come with the reference, the research, and those scientists that have the credits and that do the research and tell us what it is. And I'm very happy we have an organization such as Awaken. At least it's about time that we awake from that coma. It's about time that we take control of our economy, our life. It's about time that we use our people to get power so we can do what we have to do. And I am truly, truly happy that I'm amongst you today, people. And let's say each of us, we can come up with our research, our claims, and let's rewrite our story. Thank you, Jeff.